We have a situation.
The impact represents no real danger.
What if the whole system is compromised? If we attempt a slingshot, we get blasted into deep space.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2024 science fiction film Slingshot. The film is directed by Mikael Hafstrom and it stars Casey Affleck, Lawrence Fishburne, Emily Beecham and David Morrissey. Right, okay, the film focuses on a space mission, and this space mission is heading to Titan. This planet is obviously many millions of miles away. It's going to be a really long space mission, and there's been 3 specially selected astronauts for this mission. And the idea is when they get there, they're going to kind of, release the gases to make it possible for us to populate the planet. Obviously, because our own planet is in dire straits. So, we follow this crew. We've got John, played by Casey Affleck. We've got Lawrence Fishburne, who plays the captain, and there's another character called Nash on this. So these 3 astronauts. And because it's such a long mission, they have to wake up at certain cycles. So they go into like hypersleep, and then they are woken up at certain cycles in the mission to undertake certain tasks. One of these tasks is to undertake a slingshot around Jupiter, I think, in order to keep them on course. However, this hypersleep cycle, the drugs that they use to induce hypersleep can give you some horrific side effects like hallucinations, so on and so forth, paranoia, anxiety, all that kind of stuff, and cause madness. And as Casey Affleck and the others come out of the hypersleeps, more and more it is clear that they are struggling with their mental health, struggling with their own realities, and putting this critical mission in direct danger. Right, what are my thoughts on Slingshot? Well, I remember seeing the trailer for this one a while ago, and I thought it looked pretty interesting. I thought I enjoyed the visuals looked pretty decent, pretty stellar cast, and all of those things are true. We've got a director here, Mikael Hafstrom, who has directed things like 1408 and The Right. I think, is he Dutch? I think he might be. No, he's Swedish, I think. This director kind of knows what he's doing. He's a pretty talented director, and he's done some pretty big projects before, and he handles this film very well. I think the visuals here are nicely done. It's got a real striking look about it, but it's also got a real claustrophobic feel about it as well, because the whole film, apart from a series of flashbacks, the whole film takes place in this one spaceship, really. That's it. With these 3 characters, you've got Casey Affleck's character, Lawrence Fishburne's, and Toma Capone, who plays Nash. And the interaction between them, as they start getting worse and worse and worse. Now, I think a lot of people are going to watch this and really struggle with this film, because the biggest problem by a country mile in this film is the pacing. It takes a long time to get anywhere in this film, and you could argue the time it takes to get where it needs to get to will be for some people uninteresting stuff. And I get that. A couple of times while I was watching this film, I was thinking, where are we going here? This is quite dull. But I promise you, if you're a patient film watcher, this film's climax, if you like, presents some interesting stuff. And I'm not going to even really hint about it, the ending, but there's like a number of scenarios and choices that become apparent that kind of question everything you've seen that's come before. And I enjoyed that aspect of it. That sense of what is real, what's reality, what isn't reality, what could this be happening? Could that be happening? And the film never really fully gives you the answers. It hints at a few things, and I like that because it kind of lets you kind of think, oh, is that real? It makes you question everything you've seen before, and I like that in movies. When it kind of subverts your expectations or flip things on its head a little bit. So I enjoyed the payoff here in this film, but I suspect a lot of people won't, because leading up to that can be pretty drab stuff. This is not one of those, science fiction films where, you've got creatures climbing around with air vents or people going mad and, running around chopping bits off each other or that kind of stuff. It's not a horror. This is very much more of a thriller. And like I say, if you're patient enough to let the pieces be played out on the board, I think you would enjoy the conclusion, as I did. If after about 45 minutes into this film or less, half an hour, you're kind of thinking, this isn't for me. I'm not enjoying the process. I'm not enjoying the interactions. I'm not enjoying the characters. Then it's probably not going to win you over. My initial reaction to Casey Affleck's character of John was underwhelming, to say the least. I've never really known what to make of Casey Affleck as an actor. Clearly he's talented. I think we know. Obviously he is. But I've never fully known what to make of him as a performer. He's just very low key, if you like. He's I don't know. There's something about him. It's just, he's just one level, monotone almost. And I've not often seen him kind of, deviate out of that. And it's very much the same here. The character he plays here is very one-tone, very monotone, very dull to some degree, because that was my first impressions of this character. But in actual fact, if you analyse his performance, it's quite a layered and fascinating performance by him, especially when you know the ending of the film, the things that it presents to you, some of the answers it's giving you. It shines a light even more on his performance, I think. And it works quite well, and I suspect, I don't know, he probably deprived himself of sleep quite a lot for this film, because he looks absolutely knackered throughout most of this film, like he hasn't slept for like 3 or 4 days. He looks beyond knackered, absolutely bollocksed, and I don't think it's makeup. I think he probably did deprive himself of sleep, so you've got to applaud the commitment there. So yeah, I think this is going to be one of those that I think many people are just going to dismiss. And that's fair enough. I'm not saying this is genius stuff. I'm not saying like this is sci-fi film of the year or anything like that. But there's an interesting story being told here if you're patient enough to see it through. I suspect 70% of audience members are going to not sit through this or not enjoy it, even in the ending that they get. But at one point, this is one of those films when you're watching it and you kind of score the film in your head. At one point, it was a 5 out of 10 for me. And then it kind of chalked it up to, at times a 6 out of 10. But quite most of the film, I'd say, is a 5 out of 10 until you get to like the last 20 minutes of the film, something like that. And then that's, for me, I enjoyed that payoff. So that's why I bumped the score up a little bit to the 7 out of 10 that I've given it. So, yeah. Thanks for joining me, guys. If you like good, well-made, thoughtful science fiction films, I think you will probably quite enjoy this one, guys. So thanks for joining me for the review.